This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. The top 18s from around the world are all here with the same goal. Win it all and be crowned a champion. Hello everyone and welcome to day one of Game Changers Championship 2023. We're coming to you live from Arena CBLOL in São Paulo, Brazil. I'm your host Yingsu and I'm joined here by two lovely gents. As you can see, it is Ender and Baby Bay. Welcome.
Yes, oh my god, I'm so excited for this event. Literally last year in Berlin was my favorite international event I have ever done, and already seeing all the players hopping around the venue here in the hotel, there's that sort of electricity. The players are so excited to be here.
And everyone's so nice as well. Like
yeah.
Seriously. Everyone's so friendly and it's gonna be a good day.
Yeah, it could only be one winner though, but we'll find out. We'll find out in around 6 days or so. A lot is going to happen over the next 6 days of competition. So here is a quick explainer for what is in store.
That's massive damage! Who can stop her?
Absolutely no one!
The 2023 VALORANT Game Changers Championship begins November 28th. Here's what you need to know before the tournament begins. VALORANT Game Changers Championship is the final event of the 2023 Game Changers series. The world's top 8 teams will face off in São Paulo, Brazil to compete for the global supremacy and the title of VCT Game Changers World Champion. Teams attending the event earn their spots by winning major events or collecting the highest number of circuit points within their regions. The tournament will host representatives from North America, EMEA, APAC, East Asia, Brazil, and Latin America. From November 28th through December 3rd, the VALORANT Game Changers Championship will randomly place the 8 teams into a double elimination best-of-3 bracket, with teams from the same region qualifier being placed on opposite sides of the bracket. When 2 teams are left standing, a best-of-5 grand final will determine our Game Changers World Champion. To learn more about the 2023 VCT Game Changers Championship São Paulo, check out ValorantEsports.com and follow us at Valorant Esports for further updates. Good luck to all the competitors, and we'll see you making history in São Paulo.
Oh, it's always so nice to hear Pansy's voice, isn't it? But I want to talk to you guys about the patch we're going to be playing on. It is 7.10, which means, Baby Bay, ISO is available.
So,
what are you anticipating here? Do you think anyone's going to pick him and play him?
Unfortunately, I don't think anyone's going to play him, but if there was one person to play him, I hope it would be Fluorescent, because she is so mechanically gifted that I think she could actually steamroll teams playing this right now, especially on a map like Split or something like that, like something that's very contacty. And yeah, I mean, the character is sick to play in a ranked. It's a very pub stompy character, but I don't know if we're going to see it in competitive yet. We've only seen one match ever with it so far with a team from China.
Yeah, it's just a hard sell for me, right? It's a duelist, but you don't have that same mobility aspect of a Jet or a Raze, so you can't crowd that out. So then you're competing, do we drop a second Smoker? Do we drop a second Initiator? It's a really, really hard sell. Maybe you can get some kind of a niche strat going with it on a star player, but I don't buy it. I think it's 0 ISOs in this journey.
It's risky.
I mean, there's not just ISO that's new, because Breeze has come back and Sunset is also going to be new. But Ender, I will say that some regions, they played it already. So how do you think that's going to be coming into this?
I mean, I think that's a huge advantage, whether you're just getting experience on the map, testing out different comps, right? Like EG and EDG both got to play in this, as well as like the other NA representative in Shopify Rebellion. Whereas our EMEA reps, we're still on Pearl for so long. So a team like G2 BBL, they've never actually played Sunset. So I hope they've been cooking in the lab, but it's also possible that with only a month and a half to prepare, you don't end up playing that Sunset and it turns into a permaban for some of our teams that haven't gotten the experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do. I would probably go into this tournament if I had not played the map yet, knowing that everybody else is playing it already. I probably would ban it, but at the same time, you can use that to your advantage, and you could study these teams that have already played it, and you can counter them and really catch them off guard. So we might actually see these teams that haven't played it yet playing maps.
I hope so. I hope so. Well, this year showed that anything can happen in Game Changers, but two people think that they already have it figured out. Let's send it over to Mimi and Potter for some bracketology.
Hello, and welcome back to Bracketology, where we are going to be predicting the winner of Game Changers Championship with an absolutely perfect bracket. I'm Mimi. I'm joined here by Potter. We've replaced the normal British people, and we are going to get this right. Because Potter, you're a World Championship coach. You know a thing or two about this game, and you are going to start with picking the first team. First match, EG, SMG.
EG, SMG. Oh, God. All right. Both teams are pretty much coming in here with different... I'm going with SMG.
Why?
We're going with SMG because I was asked on Twitter who is the
I have to find them.
Come on, you got it.
Where's
I was asked
their
on
logo?
Twitter which is the team
Help
that would
me,
go away
please.
without winning a single map.
And who did you say?
Again? I
Where
said
is
EG.
SMG?
That was the only team that... Uh-oh.
Okay, they win. Trust me.
Oh, I got it.
Put them up. Okay, next match. We have to go fast. We only have 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Teal Brazil, G2 Gozen. G2 Gozen, reigning champs. But we're in Brazil. I couldn't predict against Team Liquid. And they're right here. Up, go.
Got it.
Wait, that's not how that works.
There
but
you go.
it's working. BBL, Queens, Crew, Blaze. Your thoughts on the match?
We got to go with BBL.
Why?
BBL because they are my dark horses for this
Your
whole
dark
tournament.
horses for the whole... Even though they won EMEA, you still think they're a
Yeah,
dark horse?
but you know, on the big stage, I feel like not everyone is aware of
It's a new
how
thing.
crazy BBL can be.
Sonya's a very good player,
BBL.
famously.
Yeah.
EDG versus Shopify Rebellion. Sorry to EDG, we've seen a lot of surprises from Chinese teams this year. But Shopify don't lose, except for when they do. And they've done that before at Global Tournaments. But we don't talk about that. What we do talk about, SMG, Team Liquid, Brazil.
Team Liquid. Hometown favorites, we go Team Liquid.
We go Team Liquid. We move them up there. BBL Queens versus Shopify Rebellion. I'm just going to keep on going down the Shopify train. It's never gone wrong to have confidence in Shopify before. Let's go down to the lower bracket now, which would be Team SMG versus
SMG.
BBL Queens. Okay, we need to go quick. We need to keep working through this one. SMG's there. Next team to go down to the lower bracket is BBL Queens. They're down here. We got to move them forward.
Move them forward.
Find that one. Okay, next team up here. Who's going into the winner's final? Surely
Well, it's Shopify.
Oh, confidence has never gone wrong for North America before. It's going to work perfectly. Just put them in the finals.
Put them in, all right,
put them in the finals. That's fine. Okay, lower bracket, 1 minute. BBL Queens. Put them again.
BBL,
Put them again. They're going to keep moving. I don't know who they play. Somebody, famously. Team Liquid Brazil. Hometown hero. They're going here. I don't know what happens down there. Surely some games of Valorant that are going to be really fun, but we're going to get to this point in which who's going to win?
I mean,
Team Liquid or BBL?
Team Liquid.
Team Liquid are going to win. Why?
Team Liquid are going to win because...
Because you need to put the magnet on the board. Where?
Yes, that is why.
Where are they? You need to validate this.
We're getting sabotaged.
Move them forward. Team Liquid.
Okay, there we
okay.
go.
Now they go up to the final.
Improvising.
They play against Shopify. Who wins?
It's already on the board.
Wrong. Team Liquid, baby. We're in Brazil. They're winning it all. Famously happening. Don't know what happens down here. But we did this. Under time. Do you stand by this?
I 100% stand by this. This is
a perfect bracket.
Statistical analysis, all of it.
Potter's never lied. You have it here, folks. The winner of Game Changers Championship.
I know they stand by this, but all I want to say is, what happened to EG?
Yeah, what happened to G? What school did they study bracketology in? That was ridiculous.
That is not how brackets work.
They had SMG winning their first game and then also being in the lower bracket first round. And like, what are they on?
A true underdog story.
Petition for the next bracketology to get the 3 of us in. We could correct this.
I'm down.
We could do this. We could do this. And speaking of that, I don't feel like that was spicy enough, despite the fact that EG and G2 just got nuked for some reason.
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to give our Hot Takes Game Changers edition. And I believe, Baby Bay, you are starting, and we are going to rate just how hot your hot take is.
My hot take, and this is keep in mind, this is a hot take.
Okay.
That's
very
the point.
spicy.
Yeah,
very
that's the
spicy.
point.
I think it is. Now, it is that EG, even without their star player, is still going to win, and the organization will have back-to-back tournament wins.
Whew, that is.
Wait,
I can feel that. That is extreme heat, baby.
You guys don't believe?
I think that's a bit. What's the next level after extreme
I don't
heat?
know. That is the hottest take I've ever heard in my
I think we
life.
combine our heat.
Yeah, to the
we
ultimate.
gotta have 2 ultimate.
It's like that you go to a
Can I
restaurant
add
and
mine
you put
too?
2 peppers. Yeah.
We
Let
got
me add
three.
mine as well.
This is
That's
my Nando.
wild.
It is a hot take.
Yeah.
Why are you believing in him?
the storyline's too good. When we've seen crazier things happen this year, I believe in them. I believe
Have
that.
we
Even Potter
seen-
doesn't
have
believe
we
in them.
seen
Potter
crazier
doesn't
things?
believe in them.
She may not believe in them, but I do, okay?
I just don't think we have seen crazier things this year.
Yeah,
I
we
think
have.
that could be the craziest thing.
You think this would be the craziest
But Christy, you're up next.
I'm going with Vanya, and I'm gonna say that Vanya will be the best statistically performing player in the entire event.
That
I
is
don't even think it's gonna
so
be. I don't even think it's gonna be
mild.
close.
That is so
The reason
mild.
I say this is because I think a lot of people are coming in and they're rating Floor very highly, which, correct, you absolutely should. But Vanya is about to clear all of these cracked out duelist players on the controller role, top frag every single game she plays in. Thank you. She's
That's
just
the real
that
hot take,
good.
man.
She did that in EMEA every week. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, now she's taking it to the next level.
You're not
the
clearing
next
Floor.
level.
Nah, mild. If Vanya doesn't do that, I would be disappointed.
okay,
That's
fair.
all I'm going to say. But I like where you're going, because I've also gone with BBL, and I'm going to one-up you a little bit. Not just Vanya, but the entirety of BBL. I believe they're going to win this tournament flawlessly. They do not drop a single map here.
Flawlessly?
Flawlessly. BBL Queen's flawless run.
It's definitely extreme heat, but I could see it happen.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's pretty spicy. I could see them winning. I could see them winning.
Nope,
Flawlessly.
cut.
But
cut.
flawlessly, no.
Yeah,
No team's
absolutely
gonna win
no
flawlessly.
way it's flawless. I absolutely can see them winning. They are up there for
Yeah.
me. But yeah, I mean, even if they're in a final versus TL Shopify, that's going.
I mean, when it happens, you guys let me know.
A flawless
and
BO5.
I want to
Come
hear
on.
what you guys at home has to say as well, because all throughout the tournament, make sure to tweet us on Twitter and use the hashtags VCT and VCT Game Changers, and we'll feature some of the best, maybe hot takes even, on the broadcast. And while you have your phone out here with you, scan the QR code. Yeah.
Yep, I'm scanning.
Oh, is it this QR code right here on the screen? He's doing it right now. And take part in today's MasterCard fan poll. We want to know from you guys, which will we see to debut first here at Game Changers Championship? Is it going to be ISO, or is it going to be Sunset? Use your vote wisely, by the way, and we'll reveal the results in just a moment, in just a bit. But first, our very own Ender here actually took a trip down memory lane with some of our players. So take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Ender, and I'm here with the reigning Game Changers champion, Petra from G2, now also IGLing. Thanks for chatting with me, and I just want to ask pretty much everyone that has been to the last championship in Berlin and now in Brazil, what your favorite memories were, other than maybe lifting the trophy?
Yeah, of course, lifting the trophy was one of them, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I had a lot of good memories, like beating all the teams, and one of them was Cloud9 White, which was very satisfying to win because they were super confident, maybe a little bit too confident here and there, and it just felt really good to beat them and show them NA was not the dominating region.
Are you ready to do it again this year against Shopify?
Yeah, of course we're ready. I'm confident and anything can happen. Like, the competition is growing so fast, everyone is working very hard, so we will see who put the most work in it.
I had good memories about Berlin, and my favorite one is the final team when we met each other, because they were so happy to see us, and it was very special to me because, I don't know, make me feel what I'm doing and what really I'm meaning, like what is my meaning to be here.
That's so cool. Did they teach you the Fennel dance last year?
No.
No?
No.
No? I feel like you need to bring that back. It was so fun. They were always doing the
Oh,
the
yes,
roll.
I saw it. Yes, I saw
Yeah.
it. They were so fun. They were so grateful to be there, and it made my think about everything, you know. So it was very special, and it's my favorite moment about Berlin. And like the top two, it's to see snow. I have never seen snow before, so it was very special to me, to my team. And I don't know, it's these memories is my favorite.
Honestly, Christy, that's so cool.
That was so cool.
That was so cool.
So cool.
But of course, it's really nice to hear from them. You know, their experiences last year. Both players are back again this time. There's a lot of revenge going on. So let's talk about the first matchup we have of the day. Of course, it is G2 Gozen versus Team Liquid Brazil. We're running it back. And as you guys can see on your screens here, Christy, G2, they were the winners of last year. They're here to defend their title.
Yeah, they ran it back, right? They did such a good job in that event. Merry mode, of course, absolutely popping off. It was sort of Giuliano's last hurrah as well in the Valorant scene too, IGLing from that duelist position, playing a lot of these comps. It was all about the Reyna, the Chamber, the Sages. They just wanted to fight you. They didn't need the assist from the utility. They were just going to do it on their own. They were able to lift that trophy, but of course, parted ways with Giuliano, and Mary ended up committing to school in this year, so they had to bring in 2 brand new players in Sarah and in Roxy.
So let me ask you a question, Ender, then. Do you think that this team can still have the same flexibility in running these run-it-down comps and like these aim-dually comps as they did last year?
No, they've lost some of that flexibility. I think they play much more standard comps coming into this year, and I think a lot of that is due to the fact that, A, we have Petra switching into the IGL role for the team, so it's a little bit more standard, I think, when you have your initiator player IGLing as opposed to your duelist going for the entries. But also, the way they play around Sarah, they support her so much when she is on the entry role in Raze, but the rest of the team steps up behind. It's not the superstar duelist that's top fragging every game. The whole team is performing consistently.
Yeah, and that's a really good feeling to have as a main duelist, is having your team have your back. I mean, honestly, because if you're just going in all the time and you're just losing for free, you're going to feel bad being that entry and not putting up the numbers at the same time. But the fact that their team is able to close out the rounds behind her is great.
And G2 is always a team, their fundamentals are incredibly strong. You can't get away with playing those comps I was talking about last year without not having great spacing, trading always coming in, good spatial awareness as well. They have maintained that with their core that's been together for like the last 4 years.
Yeah, but we do have to remember coming into here, G2, they didn't have the greatest finish in Series 3 in EMEA. Albeit though, and that happened last year as well.
It happened last year, not quite as bad, because this time they fell down into the lower bracket much earlier on. But I think that also when you look at when they got eliminated into that like 4th, 5th spot, they played against a very strong Ascend, and they lost in 2 insane long-time overtime maps, and those both maps were incredibly winnable. They were uncharacteristically losing 2v5s, 2v4s, and the map slipped away. So I don't think, while they are the worst performing team technically in Stage 3 of any of the teams here, they are still very much contenders to make a deep run.
Yeah, they're contenders, but Baby Bay, are they as favored, do you feel like, as last year? Because last year it was just them and C9Y. Everybody was either leaning one way or the other, but this time it feels like maybe they're not as favored.
I don't think they're as favored, but there is something that comes with winning a championship before, and even the mentality of winning before that will spread on to the new players that they have. And I think that they're just LAN players, honestly. Like, it doesn't matter how they do in the last split or whatever. All that matters is how you perform right now, and we've already seen them do it before. So.
Yeah, and let's not forget, right, they kept Glance, Mimi, Petra, incredible experience between the 3 of them. Yep. Then you have Roxy, that was with Guild at the last Game Changers Champs. It's just Sarah, who they picked straight out of solo queue, had never played professionally before, that is brand new to the stage. We'll have to see how she adapts.
Well, for more on G2, let's send it over to Mika Fabs, who was actually standing by with Sarah.
Hey Sarah, do you have time for a quick interview? Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'm here right now with Sarah of G2 Gozen. Sarah, there's a lot going on in this first match. You guys are the defending champions, and you're in the opening match right now with none other than the team that has the home crowd on their side. How are you guys feeling?
I mean, of course, we are super excited. I'm a bit nervous. It's my first Game Changers LAN, so super excited, but we have a lot of new things. Mimi's our new IGL, and we have a few role swaps.
Well, it's perfect. We are so excited for you. You're going to kill it out there. Best of luck.
Hold up.
I'm holding.
Did she just say what I think she said?
New IGL?
Yeah,
Role swaps? What?
What? What's happening?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto it once we see the maps and the agents and so on, but I love it when it's such a G2 thing to do. They tease us. They give us a little bit of what's to come.
Even going into last year's champions, we had Mary was actually on initiator role in stage 3 and then switched the chamber op role for the team, so that would be crazy if they did it again.
Yeah, they love doing this, but I want to talk about Petra because you raised that really good point of LAN experience, and there's nobody else in São Paulo, in the arena CBLOL, that has more LAN experience than Petra.
Yeah, and she's gonna need to brush that off into her teammates because playing against a team that has the home crowd advantage is brutal, especially here in Brazil. The Brazilian fans are some of the most passionate fans I've ever played against, and it's rough when you're playing against them.
But look, if you want anyone to go up against, that is Petra, ultimate confident player coming in. She plays the initiator role for G2, but she puts herself in positions to fight all the time. In a similar way that Juliana was IGLing in the past and saying, I'm going to go take fights. If anything in a round ever goes slightly wrong for G2, they lose a player. It is Petra just sprinting up to the front line. She's going to get her 1, her 2, her 3, and break open the round to get her team back in.
Yeah, this is the thing. She's probably been in many situations before, you know. They always seem to rely on her. Even when Juliano was IGLing, Petra was very, very, very reliable.
Oh, yeah.
But the hometown heroes, I think you have a point. Team Liquid Brazil, they're going to be playing in front of a crowd. They're all cheering for them. Of course, in Berlin, it was G2's home ground. It had a lot of G2 fans here. And as you mentioned, there's going to be a lot of Brazilian fans here wanting to see Team Liquid get their revenge.
Yeah, and I'm very excited to see this Team Liquid because I think they're going to pop off. Like, I'm a huge fan of Bastarda. I think that she's one of the best duelists. She has better duelist stats than me, and I thought I was nice on like every character, by the way. Like, every single one. Yeah, literally. So it's like, I just can't wait to see how they play on LAN, and yeah, they look like killers today.
Yeah, they're such a solid team, and I think too they are a team that puts in so much work behind the scenes as well. They last year were going to the Team Liquid facilities, boot camping in Europe. Again this year they did it as well. So they're always trying to get that experience, international experience. Even though they're staying at home this time around, they already have experience within this year playing against teams from around the world.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on their roster changes?
I think they've incorporated very well into the team. It's funny looking at the history of Team Liquid and then Gamelander's purple behind him because it almost looks like a feeder team because you have Isa and Georgina came over from Gamelander's purple at the start of this year. But when Isa joined the team, that was when Daiki left to join Team Liquid. So it's this constant cycle of just feeding into TL. So they've gelled very well together as a team and also just transitioned into so many different team comps throughout the year that you can see how well they've worked together when they play 1 million different comps.
Absolutely, and I think Georgina was such a good pickup. Like, she has some of the highest headshot percentages out of like any of the controllers that I see in this tournament, and it's consistent across the board. Always 30% headshot, and when you're playing against a controller player that's just taking you out like that, it is so oppressive to play against.
Because it just means whenever you're in a late round situation, she is nailing. Like, you just can't do anything. It's always clutch rounds. The spray transfer as well, very clean from her.
Babyface just here scouting. You want some new teammates? You looking for anyone?
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get back up there, you know?
But this is the thing, that we have a lot of firepower on both sides as well. But in terms of the newer players, do you guys have similar worries about potential LAN nerve, something they got to shake off? Because going up against G2 as your opening game, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine. I think the fact that they're playing here in São Paulo is just going to feed them even more. And if they win like the first couple rounds of this series, the crowd's going to go wild. They're going to feed off the energy, and they might just snowball the entire series.
Also, Brazil is one of the few regions that their final event is a LAN. So they've played on the stage before. They've been around fans, been around casters in the venue. The rumbling you can feel from that as well. So both of these teams, I have no concern about nerves. It is really just Sarah for me, being the fresh face to a LAN stage and her first year playing professionally.
I feel like having this as our opening match, it's one of like the heaviest hitter matchups you can get. Yeah. Yeah, but do they get the revenge? Do they get it, do you think?
I think the hometown heroes are taking this one.
Oh, you're backing
I think the hometown heroes are taking this one.
I feel like G2 have been cooking. And I'm like, I think I should vote for TL here, but G2 have been in the labs. It's been, what, a month and a half since we've seen them play last? Like, they've got to be working on something good.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to get
changes,
3 maps.
Right?
Just the 3 maps. That's all I want. But let's send this back to Mika Fabs for a quick word with the player that clears Baby Bay. It's Bastarda.
Bastarda, can we have a quick word? Yeah. All right, perfect. Mika Fabs here with Bastarda of Team Liquid. Bastarda, you guys are up against the defending champions for the opening match. Tell me, who do you think on G2 Gozen is the biggest threat to Team Liquid?
Yeah, me and Daiki, we lost last year in their home. So now we are so excited to defeat them in our home. So we are ready for that.
Oh, that sounds really spicy. Well, best of luck to you and have a good game.
Oh, I'm glad she mentioned Daiki because we've had, you know, a lot of talks about Petra, about her experience, the IGL. Daiki is kind of the same story on the other side. And what are you expecting from her coming into this?
Daiki is just, again, looking to come out and fight. She's an incredibly confident player that you're going to build your rounds around. And when you have Bastarda flying in there at the start, getting a couple of kills, it is always Daiki, that second one in, and oftentimes closing out the round for the team as well.
Yeah, I mean, she is going to have to go up against Petra today. And I think from her perspective, you know, they've spoken about this revenge thing. I think, again, as you said, Baby Bay, in front of the home crowd. And knowing their opponent, because she's played against Petra before. So if you were in Daiki's shoes, how do you go up against this beast that is G2 that you've lost against already last year?
I think you definitely have to keep stuff, like, calm and collected. Because, like, as much as you want to play for revenge and all this stuff, like, you don't want to stray away from, like, what's been working for you. And to be fair, like, they don't really know what's going to be happening, especially since we don't even know what's going to be happening with G2. They said they're mixing roles up. You know, they changed the IGL already. So you don't know what to really expect going into this, and you could do as much homework as you want, but it's going to be tough. Yeah,
you could throw it out the window after 3-4 rounds when it looks different or a new map enters into the play. This is that type of day, that game one, where it really tests your IGL's ability to react within a half, even. Like 12 rounds, half of that is going to be ecos or pistols as well. Like, you have to consistently make the right choices. And I think what we saw from Daiki back in Berlin last year has proven to me, like, I got so much confidence in TL watching them grow throughout that event that I think even with roster changes, with Daiki at the helm, they are going to be one of the teams to beat at this event.
Is that the edge that you give? Because Petra hasn't been IGLing for all that long, if you think about it. Albeit, you know, studying under Giuliano, I feel like you can't get a better IGL to learn from. But Daiki has been doing this for longer.
That is true. She has been. I don't know if I would necessarily, because again, I can't get into comms. Like that's a tough one for me to say confidently. But I think that the way these two players act in server is actually so similar, because they are those IGLs, initiator players, but also looking to take fights consistently. They're the players that will go do a crazier play. Like Petra will just sprint up through mid when things go poorly on a map like Split and look to open up a site while the rest of the team goes to the other side of the map. So I think that once you learn those tendencies, that's when you can break teams, right? So I really do hope that they've done their homework and changed a lot, because otherwise that prep is going to be something that you can punish a team for, especially a team like G2 that might fall into the similar tendencies.
I mean, that's the thing though. Does this come down to just getting the read, you think, if both have a equal firepower side?
Yeah, and you know what? Like, just piggybacking off of like having your IGL on initiator, like the thing that's beautiful about that is you can have the IGL on the solo side of the map, like you guys are saying, being able to feint, and then now she can play with the team, and now, you know, maybe she's somewhere else doing all these things, and you can really play mind games with your opponent, and that's why I think you're seeing a lot more IGLs now on this role, because you're able to feint out the enemy team with your presence, or maybe you're with the team here and there like that. It's good. It's honestly a good strategy.
Yeah, and both of them are very cold. And speaking of cold, Baby Bet, you are gonna love this, because Bastarda put on a tweet even earlier, and this is something else. This is a new level, coming into a LAN and doing this. What do you think?
G2? Oh, okay.
What are you thinking of that?
Yeah, she's feeling it, right? So that's what I was saying. They're killers today. They're gonna go in today.
It's that Grim Reaper coming to knock on each door. It's
Who's
G2
next?
today. Who's tomorrow?
Who's next?
Oh, you're already thinking about tomorrow, and you must.
I don't know. Everyone's I don't know. I'm getting more excited about Team Liquid the longer we talk about them.
Yeah, and it's time for the result of our MasterCard fan poll. Earlier, we asked you guys to vote on what you think we're gonna see first, Sunset or ISO, and you guys have overwhelmingly picked Sunset. Do you guys agree with this? You think we're going to see Sunset first?
I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah. And I think it should be like a 98 to a 2%, personally.
Imagine we see both, though. That'd be
ISO
crazy.
on
At the same
Sunset?
time, yeah, that'd be crazy.
Do you think that works?
No.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Why
happening.
not?
I don't think ISO works. I think ISO works in ranked. I don't think he works at the highest level.
I mean, what about the two teams we're going to see first? You think ISO or Sunset could potentially work out for either of them?
I don't think.
Honestly, if a team was going to pick it, it would be like last year's G2, and they'd lock Reyna, Chamber, ISO, and just style on everyone.
Yeah, Giuliano's probably the one that would pick it.
Yeah, she'd make it work.
Yeah, Sunset though, I don't know. I feel like you guys are talking about the prep, the changes. Surely you dive down and you go for something like this.
Yeah, I mean, neither of our teams in this first game have actually have had the opportunity to play Sunset, so that would really surprise me if that ended up coming in. Later in the event, though, we're going to see a lot of it.
Yeah, that's the trump card, I feel like. A team might need to make a difference, but this is it, everybody. The coaches are ready for map selection. So let's get this underway. It's time to kick off day one of Game Changers Championship. Let's send it over to our coaches.
We think you know who we are. Think again.
There's a reason it's called Game Changers.
Incredible stuff from Mimi.
Wow. We play wilder. Ahí somos más. Hablamos más alto. Until
we can't be ignored.
What the are you doing?
Until everything else looks boring.
Good. If anything.
何もかもが変わるまで
You can try to block it out.
でも響かせてやる
Sorry, no, I'm in my cocky era.
They are trapped. There is absolutely no escape.
Game Changers Championship is coming. This is Valorant. Louder.
I have a lot of regrets about last year's Game Changers. There's so many moments I wish could have gone differently. I made a lot of mistakes. This year, my confidence comes from within. My team and the people I care about think I've learned from my mistakes. This year, it's Mel against the world.
Last year, we were the underdogs coming in. I don't think we will let anyone mess with us.
So we're starting the map selection process. Team Liquid, because it's a higher seed, has priority choosing if wants to be Team A or Team B for the map selection. You can start.
We are Team B.
So Team Liquid, Team B, and G2 is Team A. So G2 starts banning a map.
Ban bind.
So bind is banned. Ban for Team Liquid.
Ban breeze.
Breeze banned. First map pick for G2.
Pick Sunset.
Sunset. Okay, side on Sunset for Team Liquid.
Attack side.
Attack. So map pick for Team Liquid. We got Ascent, Haven, Lotus, Split.
Pick Lotus.
Lotus, okay. Side on Lotus for G2.
Attack.
Okay. Attack. We're going to the second set of bans. G2 bans a map. We got Haven, Ascent, Split.
Ban Split.
Split. So the last ban for Team Liquid, you got Ascent or Haven.
Ascent.
So Ascent banned. We got for the sider Haven. Side on Haven for G2.
Defense.
Defense. Okay, so I'm gonna run it back. So we got everything. The first set of bans was G2 banned Bind, TL banned Breeze, G2 picked Sunset, TL starts attacking, TL picked Lotus, G2 starts attacking. Second set of bans was Split and Ascent. The decider was Haven, G2 defending. Is that right? Yep. Okay? Correct. Okay. Good luck, have fun.
Thank you.
There are some new faces on stage with us today, but that does not change the storyline. G2 looking to defend their title from last year, and Team Liquid is revenge. But how easy do you think it's going to be? Because it feels like it's easier said than done.
Nothing is easy for anyone in this game, in this series, in this tournament. And we're kicking it off on Sunset as well, which is just ridiculous. Neither of these teams were able to play Sunset in Stage 3 and their region. So it is, no one knows. You can't actually prep for what the other team is bringing to this map.
Yeah, and this is where the being able to adapt on the fly is gonna be a big part of the IGL's job here. And you know what? The other maps too. I think we're gonna see like mirror comps on the other maps, but this Sunset map, we have no idea. Absolutely no idea what they're gonna.
This is the question. What would you like to see? You're a big fan of Bastardo. What kind of duelist would you like to see her go on? And also for G2 too.
I think Raze is a staple on this map right now. I think Raze. I think you can go two different ways. You run the double controller, which I think is less common, less popular right now in in the Americas in general. And I think Breach and Fade and stuff like that is way more popular. And I think we're going to see Cypher.
I think Cypher is absolutely in, and I also think that once we enter into more of a Cypher meta, the Raze and the Breach become so good because what you can do off of the camera and then just having a fault line ready to go, and that could either turn into a fight with a double satchel or it can turn into a paint shell trap play as well. That trio, that core is so powerful that I would never walk into Sunset without that personally.
Yeah? I feel like you think that's the optimum, or you think that's what they're going to do?
I think both.
Both teams are going to have Cypher, for sure. It's so good on this map.
And also just like previewing this patch, I think there's going to be a lot of maps where the Cypher is skyrocketing in priority as well, and we might see some more Breach and Raze as a result. So, yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to the fans in the studio, by the way. Look at them. Like I said, last year we had a lot of G2 fans watching them lift the trophy. I think this is a little bit different here. I think Team Liquid are the ones having the heart of the Brazilian fans as well. And Sunset, you guys have spoken about it already, but for me, this feels like it makes sense. I know it's a bit of a surprise. We didn't think we're going to see it right off the bat, but if you're two teams very familiar with each other, you also want to show some new stuff, you also have things that you've prepared that you don't want other people to know, this is the perfect place to go.
But also, if you're a team that wants to win this event, that means you got to play a best of 5 at the end. So having a permaban is not a good thing, especially if there's a risk of dropping into the lower bracket. So it's very important that these teams are prepped on this map, and it's a great show of confidence that G2 are like, yeah, give it that immediately.
Yeah, G2 picked it.
Like
G2
what?
are the team that
and
picked
then they're
it.
giggling, banning Split that they played 1,000,000 times in Stage 3. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, how important is this Sunset between these two teams, especially looking ahead at Baby Bay to the next 2 maps as well? Is this a must-win for either of them?
Yeah, 100%. I think this series has a good chance of going the distance. I think it's going to be a 2-1, and I believe that whoever wins this map is going to win the series at the end of the day.
Ooh, that important.
I can get behind that on Sunset, and I also think there's bigger implications throughout the tournament for Sunset because you're debuting a brand new map. There's going to be varying levels of comfortability on Sunset throughout this, and if G2 had come in and banned Sunset, for example, then in their next veto, whoever they're playing might leave that open, right? And that's G2 eating up a ban. If G2 come in or TL come in and look really shaky on this map, you better believe the Sunset picks are going to be flying on in. So winning this is exceptionally important because there is no prior history before it.
And not just winning, but winning in like a dominant fashion. Because like you said, you want to set yourself up for the rest of this tournament to have teams scared to pick Sunset against you. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for the viewers at home who haven't seen Sunset at all and are maybe not familiar with this map, what are they looking out for? What do you think is the priority, the space they should be taking right off the bat?
I think that mid is a really easy area to fight for, I believe, especially if you're locking something like Viper into your comp. A lot of the defensive Viper walls will actually slice through mid, so you can get control of mid and of tiles as well. But ultimately, I think on defense, you can approach it a couple of different ways. You can go more aggressive and take that fight down mid, or look to rat around like the sides of a site. That site is so interesting because it's very small, but you have that whole hallway you have to play with, and you as defense can choose where you actually want to hold the line, which is very different to every other map, which is we hold main and that's all you can actually do.
Yeah, Sunset's definitely a map that on the attacking side, you're going to see a lot of splits onto these sites because of like the elbow that you said on the A side, but also like the mid to B split, on that site. So I think this is why the Breach is so good, and I'm hoping both teams are going to be playing it because I'm a fan of that comp. It allows you to do these splits way easier than if you're running the double controller.
Yeah, mid is really weird because it's this huge open space, but it's kind of small too. So on defense, you can choose to like post multiple players there to fight that early, or you can play really far back, maybe just leave a Cypher trip deep so that you can't get pushed into spawn. But when you do things like that, it allows attackers to get some crazy routes into sight because you can almost take mid and split the map into 2 giant pieces, potentially push into defender spawn as well. There's so much that we have yet to unpack, I think, in this map, just in the competitive scene, but especially with these two teams' first times.
I also got to ask the age-old question. Is it defense-sided? Is it attack-sided? Because obviously, Liquid, they chose side, and they chose to start on the attack. What do you make of that?
I mean, I don't know. I think the map right now, it's too early on to tell how sided it actually is. It's not like a clear thing like Ascent. You know, Ascent is clearly defense sided. It's not like that. I think it all just comes down to how you're IGLing, how you're maneuvering around the map. Like, I think mid control is a necessity on the attacking side, just so you can feint sites and like make them always scared of a lurk, you know what I mean? And then you could start going into these site hits and splits off the rip and stuff like that. So.
I think it plays similar to Haven in a way where defense can do a lot of early aggression, just fighting you off the rip. But if you guess wrong, you overload on one side of the map and it can go the other way. So I don't see it as being super sided either way, but I think within a round, based on those gambles, it can definitely skew one way or the other.
Well, it's time to look at the Prime Gaming agent select for Sunset. And oh my God, there's so much to unpack here.
Happening.
Okay, so Petra and Sarah have just, and Mimi, they've done some kind of like a roll swap left, right, and center. What is going on?
So Petra is not the duelist, but now she is. Mimi is returning to a flash roll, which she used to play with G2 last year as well. Does play some other flashes.
But not Sky.
It was like always the KO, right? So that's very interesting. And now Petra, like we talked about G2 because Sarah was never like the top fragging duelist for them. Again, plucked out a solo queue, has not had the highest numbers of other duelists in this tournament. But is Petra going to have that? Because Petra is a shooting machine. She's a beast and was always putting herself in spots to take early duels.
Yeah, she will 100% be confident going into this as duelist, and it's who better, right? She was already taking aim duels anyway last year. Why not put her on Raze and start to dominate?
I love it.
And this will make Sarah more comfortable getting used to the LAN environment, not playing a role that's so
but she's first timing Viper ever, and it's gonna be on LAN against Team
Liquid.
This
is so sick.
I cannot wait. Do you know what? Let's just get into the game. It's map 1. It is your casters. Give it up for Pots and Pans.
Thank you so much, Yinsu. And it's loud in this arena, and Palestra and Karka's got me going, so let's do it, Potter. Boom! Let's get into it. We're going to a BO3, kicking things off in a huge tournament right now. The finals, the Game Changers Championships, and we have Team Liquid, the #1 team in Brazil, playing against G2, pretty much the #1 team in 2002, being our champions, our returning champs. And we're in for surprises already on this first map.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on the side of Baby Bay right now. I'm also doing some scouting for myself as well. And there's so many curveballs coming our way in this opening match already. Mimi is now the IGL. The desk touched on it, but that is a huge curveball. But it makes so much sense, fans, right? So much experience on Mimi, but we gotta focus on this Petra being on that Raze. I think this makes so much damn sense. When I think back on when I was actually competing versus Mimi and versus Petra, Petra was the heavy hitter. She was always the one that had the firepower. She was always the one with that op in her hands and just had so much presence in that server. So seeing her on her agent like Raze, she's gonna have so much freedom and absolutely have the opportunity to just completely take over the map.
It is pretty crazy that in map #1, there's so many wild cards coming out from G2 side, but at the same time, look at what we have here. The fans are out here for Team Liquid, and Team Liquid is also a team that hasn't played Sunset throughout the qualifiers. We're into like the EMEA region and the LATAM region, where Breeze and Sunset wasn't actually picked in a rotation. It wasn't there, so it's the first time they're going to see this rotation as well for Team Liquid, and they're also playing a slightly different comp. You're looking at now a Chamber versus an upgraded Cypher with the latest patch.
For sure, and I think that makes sense, right? I think as we go over the next, even this entire tournament, as we see Sunset, we're going to see some experimenting. We're going to see some band-aiding, and we're going to see some adjusting. You absolutely need to be able to see that. It's a brand new map, and no matter what happened 2 weeks ago, on this map, these ladies are going to be creating their own metas as this tournament goes on.
So this is pretty much going to be a recipe for success or disaster, and maybe they kind of mentioned it, right? It's like whoever wins this first map maybe wins the series. And now that you've mentioned so many wild cards coming out of G2, would you give them the advantage going into this first map?
You know, it's tough. It's definitely tough. I think I'm on board with everyone else on Twitter coming into this one. G2 have had a little bit of an underwhelming year, but as the desk mentioned, these are LAN players. We're on LAN now. We're no longer online. That experience coming out from Petra and Mimi, who've been competing for so long, is absolutely going to come into play here. And when you have that kind of rock on your squad and you're a new player in Sarah, that's definitely going to bleed through. That's definitely going to have that sort of influence that you want if you're G2.
Well, looks like we're ready to hop into the server to kick things off here for the Game Changers Championship here in São Paulo. First map now on Sunset, we have G2 versus Team Liquid, with G2 on the defense and Team Liquid on the attack. And we're starting things off with this composition, some very default walls on this Viper in the conditioning.
Yeah, I'm looking straight at this chamber, Vans. Bizarra's already kind of contesting and trying to apply a little bit of pressure. That's some good damage coming out here from Bizarra. And if you're G2 here, you always are wondering, always guessing how many more players are behind Bizarra. Is she alone, or is she having the whole squad ready to exec on this pistol?
In this case, the whole squad, 3 players with her, and they're looking to scout around. The dog is coming out, first contact comes through, and that's Roxy to fall, so first blood is given to Team Liquid. Already looking for some sort of stoppage, just smoke coming out on the defensive side, just to slow down the trace here of Team Liquid.
Yeah, and it was such a slick entry as well, as calm, cool as ever. Bizarra just kind of peeking with that dog. She understands that G2 do not want to give that dog any information, don't want to give that dog any ground. So good maneuver, good opening from Team Liquid. But look at Mimi, trying to gain a little bit more map control, and she actually punishes Bizarra, equalizing things in this pistol.
Versus 4 now, as Team Liquid are looking to move inside this A site. Smoke to look up towards the A connector. And the plan is actually pretty good here for any type of crossfire setup on the post plan from Elbow and from the A-Link.
Yeah, you're feeling really good if you're Team Liquid. Setting up in these posts, spare 4v4, and Mimi just barely limping. 1 flash left to her name. G2 is going to have a good retake protocol here.
They're already playing behind the wall. Bastarda is doing good on this post plant position for Team Liquid. Advantage coming in their favor, but retake comes in for G2. Now a 2 versus 2 coming in, and low HP is Mimi and her teammate. But Isa and Georgina holds in at a crossfire, and Team Liquid get the pistol round.
Beautiful crossfire, as you say, Vans, and that's exactly what you want to start off a long series like this. Textbook cookie cutter crossfires in the post plant. You know, things were a little bit dicey in the beginning, especially if you're G2, but Team Liquid had a free sight. Free sight and textbook as ever in this post plant.
That's the beauty of it. The 4 players are playing towards that B main, and you have that lurk from the Viper on the A side to actually call for that rotate back. And I love that confidence now, Christine, because now this shows for me that Team Liquid, they've been cooking stuff up, and they're ready to play on Sunset.
Absolutely. Just kind of finding that opening pick, regrouping, and able to really find some ground. I have to give kudos to G2 though. You know, when you lose a member of your squad that early on in the round, things can get really hectic. But the experience, once again, that we talked about on G2's side, they're going to consistently have to lean on those 2 players, and Mimi and Petra, to be able to reaggress like we saw in this pistol round. Mimi trying to find a little bit of answers, trying to find that information in that mid area, and she was rewarded for that. But in that retake, Liquid, they were just better, Vans.
They've been really good on the post plan for Team Liquid for sure, from what we saw in that pistol round. And what I see right now how Team Liquid's playing is that they're able to work and already pull these fakes from A to B. Not getting too much mid control in the first place, so we're still, you talked about it, the experimental phase to see if we're actually going to control that middle a little bit more, or really try to work those extremities, especially when you have a chamber that could allow this 4-1 setup pretty much, as we've seen in China when this composition first came out with the chamber.
Yeah, exactly, and looks like we have a bit of a tech pause to start off, of course, here in Brazil. But you know, we'll try to talk about. Let's talk about Sunset, Vans. I mean, we already talked and kind of previewed the crowd here and let them know that it is a brand spanking new map.
Yes.
I mean, whatever metas, whatever defaults, whatever strategies and utilities we saw a couple weeks ago, those might not even be in play today, right? So the best of the best are in the server, just like they are now, and they're kind of creating their own stuff as they go.
The more reps that you have on a map like Sunset, just like as many reps that you have on Fracture, you're going to see the meta evolve, and Lotus even saw the same thing. So I love the fact here, you just mentioned it, Potter. Different compositions, different ways of testing the waters. We mentioned just earlier on this Cypher versus the Chamber, but at the same time, you're looking at a Sky versus a common Fade that we usually see on Sunset. So what's your take on this scene, the Sky?
Yeah, it's very different, right? I mean, if you just think about the nerfs coming through for Raze as of recently, that Fade really kind of buffs and kind of helps Raze in tandem together. But certainly with the Sky, you just get a very different kind of info. And those double flashes that you have, especially if you're the IGL in Mimi, you're really able to calm your players, your teammates, and say, hey, go take this fight. I'm flashing for you now. So having those kind of abilities as an IGL definitely goes a long way. But looks like we're back in the game here. It's going to be an anti-eco for Team Liquid, and G2, they did not purchase anything into this round.
Pressuring towards this A main. Already first contact coming through, and that's Mimi dropping Isa, and that's a great way to start this eco.
Yeah, without a lick of damage either here, Vans. I mean, that's a lot of information, though, if you're Team Liquid, and I like the reaction coming out immediately, taking space towards this B site. They should be able to get the spike down, but look at this. All 5 members of G2, they are grouped, and they are not slowing down.
Right into the market. There's that contact coming out from the dog. Daiki's able to answer back on 2 kills with that Spectre, but we're going back and forth. It's still looking pretty good on this eco for G2. They've managed to pick up the Bulldog before and puts it to use. That's Mimi dropping Bizarra. Now we have a 2 versus 2 with another plant, the Guardian coming long range, and finally it stops the bleeding floor a bit until Bastarda closing onto the angle. Mimi falls, but like I said, Potter, this is a great eco for G2.
Great. We take those. I mean, that is expensive as hell if you're Team Liquid, and G2 are absolutely celebrating. If you take a look at these ult orbs, especially for Mimi, she's having a blast right now. So close, only 2 away, and that will absolutely help in those kind of retake scenarios that we saw on Pistol coming out here for G2. But first gun round coming through here, a bonus for Team Liquid, and G2, it's a healthy buy. It's certainly a healthy buy coming into this one.
Team Liquid's not looking too good, though. This bonus, for me, written on the wall, it's pretty much looking to be a G2 round, but Team Liquid are changing things up a bit. They're looking for that mid-pressure.
We'll see if you jinx them or not, Vans. We'll come out here and take a look.
The good old cast a curse.
Yeah, I like what Team Liquid are doing. You can see they're very grouped, trying to sniff out this trip if it's here, but Sarah's so ready for it.
So far, so good for me. Another one falls here. That's Bizarre from the hands of Mimi. As G2 are just closing the doors, not allowing Team Liquid to get any type of pressure and any type of map work on this mid side. So they have to pull back. And looks like they're working together back towards this A side where it's slightly weaker.
Yeah, your game plan kind of shifts at this point if you're Team Liquid. In the beginning, you really went a little bit more aggro, cutting noise, trying to find that opening pounce. But since you've lost some members, you're really just trying to ruin G2's money here. Trying to find a couple more picks, maybe build up a little ult orbs, but G2 are looking mighty fine in this instance right now.
Already got some one-way set up to delay just to counteract the smokes that were just thrown by the Omen out from Georgina within this A side. Satchel's coming through, so it opens it up. They're seeing that it's clear and that G2 wants to play the retake.
Yeah, G2, they're just kind of being very patient. They want to wait for Glance. They want to wait for this Omen's Paranoia to get through.
Beautiful trades, though, but it's back and forth. This time, the numbers are in favor of G2. Iza, the last player remaining, trying to hold this pulse line. Good for that first one. Avoids the flash, gets a beautiful snake bite onto the spike as well. That's going to delay that smoke against Glance. Poison Orb going up, trying to decay some players. And then another snake bite. That's going to force the defuse off once again as Mimi continue to get it towards halfway. Now as it's ticking down and ticking down, Iza's just holding behind the smoke. One has to commit onto the defuse now as Iza has to move in, gets the headshot for the third, but then traded off here by Glance, who comes in for the defuse, but will she get it? She will, definitely, with so much time left on the clock.
That was close though, Vans. That was so damn close. What a bonus coming out here for Team Liquid. And I thought that was going to be so impossible. That was a 3 versus 5 G2 with the absolute better weaponry. And I really liked G2's setup. They had 2 members in that market. Again, that same crossfire that we saw on Pistol. Immediately finding those 2 opening picks. But Team Liquid, man, Issa, if she were to able to win this round, that would have been so hard to recover from.
A heartbreaker. And they needed that for G2. You saw it from the reactions from Mimi. We don't want to slow things down yet. There's already contact plays, attempts towards this A side. A little bit of noise made towards middle. There's that first dog coming out.
That is aggressive.
Beautiful there for Bastarda.
Yeah, you can see Petra really wanted to find an opening with that dog, but wow, a triple coming out here for G2.
What they doing with that dog? That's 3 kills coming out from G2 behind that dog, and the Seekers getting information on the last 2 players still holding out towards the spawn. The spike has been dropped, and you have to fight back for it, and G2's in a great spot. Putting the smoke in the front, forcing Team Liquid to use utility, and having less for a site take, but they have picked up the spike.
Yeah, and such good moves coming out here for G2. They had so much ground forward in this A corridor, but as soon as that spike goes down, they just fall back, and they're demanding and making Team Liquid re-clear all corners anyway. So So beautifully played for G2, completely min-maxing this round.
Yeah, and even taking advantage of that composition that you have. I mean, when the map first came out, you thought that Omen wasn't really that best agent for this map because the smokes weren't as big as the other controllers.
Now they fat.
Exactly. The height that you get from these TPs to allow a super high-low there on that A-Link, you're going to have to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, yeah. You know, actually, just the other day, Vans, I was testing out those smokes. They are thick. They are definitely thick. So Omen, just that blind being a little bit slower, but definitely back into the mix this year so far. And Glance already off to a hot start. And Roxy's been controlling this B quarter. It's just kind of been a Chamber versus Cypher 1v1 as the rest of the team tries to collect information and tries to collect a little bit of map control. This time, G2's good for it. Petra finding an opening.
To not be afraid to push out towards that A main, you see it right there. Battling, challenging, but it ends up still being a one-for-one while TL has a lower buy. But you were just talking about Roxy. They're really switching up the defensive positioning for this type of round.
They are. And eventually, though, Vans, eventually this will not be worth it for G2. 2 times now, Petra's been opening picked on. Sure, this time she got a pick, but it was versus a bit of a broken buy, right? And when you're down 1 number, 4v4 equalized on the defense, it's always an attacker's game. So at this point, G2, they've got to recover in this round.
G2's recovering by just playing a little bit more turtle up within the sites, giving that mid-side open, and Glance is great on that position. But the trade's continuing to be perfect for Team Liquid. Seeker's coming out to get information as well. Bizarre moving forward. Nice wall bang to drop Sarah. As trying to connect onto Roxy, unfortunately gets denied, and Daiki now has to try to win only with the Sheriff on a 2-on-1. Oh! Missed the first shot, but at least was able to get that opportunity to readjust the aim and even it out on a 1v1 with 15 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, only 15 seconds. She will be able to get the spike down. Both players, they both hear each other running right now. Daiki has a good idea that her opponent is going to be coming through here from B main.
IGL versus IGL. Mimi on a new role. A flash to get information, does get contact, so she knows that Mimi's somewhere towards the front of the site, but Mimi wins it, and G2 comes in to take the lead.
That's a sky diff. That's a sky diff right there. Mimi putting a statement out, but I really like the readjustment coming out here for Daiki. You saw that right after her bird, she kind of readjusted and put herself in an off-angle position, and you even saw she had the jump on the bullet, the first bullet. So definitely a good play coming out here for Daiki, but what a beautiful clutch for G2's side.
You can see it right there. I mean, even from the position from Daiki, because of that information from the flash. And the disadvantage of having a Skybird as well is that you don't know exactly where that flash did the contact. So unfortunately, the crosshair placement was off. And now G2 takes the lead. Lots of ults on the board for Team Liquid.
Yeah, lots of ult indeed. Bastarde, I mean, she's had some incredible race stats all year long. We'll see if she's able to really stamp her ground here and make her presence. This will be the first round that we see such a strong ultimate coming out on board from Team Liquid, and they absolutely have a good idea that G2 are not willing to give up this market area. Again, G2 have a double high-low, up and down crossfire in that area.
You've mentioned it, Potter. The amount of times that they were trying to push towards this A main but got punished. Now they're giving it up and want to play it more passively. Only one player in there.
Yeah, they've swapped up with Cypher. That's such a good point because at this point, Cypher, Roxy is going to be tested for the first time this half. All 4 members coming out onto her site.
Nonetheless, though, Daiki does get the first blood for Team Liquid within this round number 6. And slowly closing into sight. You see the walls coming up here trying to push in, but there's a rotate coming through. There's a flank around. It's being watched by Daiki once again.
So
Pit
aware.
comes out for the post plant too.
So aware, Daiki completely punishing that pinch, and that completely stops G2's retake before it even begins. If you're G2, you gotta start thinking about the save, but you're really stuck between a rock and a hard place right now.
Georgina going inside the poison orb, finally gets backstabbed by Sarah, but Sarah is alone on a 4 versus 1, just trying to find her opponents, taps onto the spike, walks out of the pit, and gets greeted by Team Liquid as they tie up the game 3-3, and we're going to go back and forth in a series.
What a round coming out here from Team Liquid, and it was that flank that you mentioned, Vance, from that Omen. I mean, look, if Omen gets that pick, that's a completely different round in this retake for the side of G2, but the fact that Daiki is just so aware, holding the lines, holding all the angles to make sure that her team is going to have a successful post plant. Beautiful stuff coming out here for Team Liquid. And it kind of goes in line with Team Liquid's setup, right? On this attack side. They've been very spread out. The chamber on one side. And Baby Bay mentioned it on the desk. The Daiki being on the initiator on the sky solo as the IGL, you're really able to make a lot of creative misdirection plays. So we're seeing that coming out here from Team Liquid. What a shot.
Beautifully done by Daiki. The dog getting information towards that front as Georgina getting 2 picks as they notice the aggressive push from G2 up towards that mid take. Ends up still doing some much more damage posed onto G2 than Team Liquid at this point though.
Yeah, but thankfully for Team Liquid, Issa has read the room and she's reacted well. Pushing forward onto A, getting all this space. She's telling her teammates, hey, come back to me. I've got the site for free here. And you can see 3 members of G2 are very grouped. They've definitely gotten that sound cue now, so the spike being towards this A site, Jig is up.
Jig is definitely up, but thankfully here for G2, they do have the Omen TP, the From the Shadows to get information to pit, but Isa is still in a great position. You talked about her having the sight, and she has forward position as well. No opportunities here for G2 to really go for that retake as Daiki. She wants to answer back. No sky diff in this game.
No, do not sky diff me again. Not again. Beautiful stuff here for Team Liquid, and I mean, this is going to be the big round here, Vans. This is going to be the big swing round of this first half for both squads. Both squads are coming into this round with 3 or 4 ultimates. Both squads are coming in with very similar money. So whoever wins this round, I think, is going to have that big lead going into that second half that they want.
And nobody's calling a timeout at all. Confident in their plays that they want to do in this round number 8. And it's pressure once again, fighting towards the A-main. Mimi first contact with the pit coming out on the other end. Beautiful first blood. Yeah,
and this is going to be such an easy round now for G2. Sky just babysitting the Viper, letting her know, hey, okay, you're good. And now Sky's going to be able to be extra mobile. Going to go ahead and leave the Viper to her own devices and pick up that mid. So this is a great setup coming out here for G2. Team Liquid are going to have to visit so many parts of this map to make anything work.
Again, the flash coming out from Mimi to get more information, so comes into contact, but beautiful setup here for the Paranoia to allow Team Liquid to try to counteract into the market. Counter Paranoia as well, and it ends up being a couple of trades, and thankfully, as you've mentioned, when that pit came out, it allowed more players of G2 to support on that mid take, and the trades were nice.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I think if you're Team Liquid, you're going to kind of revisit that utility that you're exchanging towards that A, right? I mean, I think in the beginning, it was Petra that was kind of coming out on the losing end of that contact, but this last round, it was Team Liquid, so I'd like to see a little bit of a different approach, and as I say that, Vans, it's Petra busting out the operator.
Interesting. And looking at it, looks like she's placing this towards that B main, so not afraid to go head-to-head against Bizarra, who maybe could have brought out that Total False, but it's a showstopper instead, who connects with 2 kills.
Oh no, both G2 members were so grouped that Bastarda gets a twofer.
And with that, Seekers allowing now the continuous push towards that A site. The twofer can now potentially become a round win for Team Liquid as the rotate's still too far away.
Yeah, and again, another high-low setup for Team Liquid. I mean, at this point, if you're G2, these retake protocols haven't been your friend this whole half yet. And Petra's showstopper gets taken out here as well.
So hard when you're trying to retake the site with an operator in your hands on top of that to really try to get it set up for a showstopper. It's not going to happen. And you already see the 2 players falling back. Georgina's looking to move forward and try to not allow G2 to save those weapons. And they're closing the gap, but Sarah still wins that fight against Georgina at least. And now there's only one left.
But this is so good coming out from Team Liquid. The pressure is on, and they are wanting to checkmate for this half. Beautiful stuff from Team Liquid, and such good just presence of mind, awareness to go chase down those kills. No weaponry is going to come out on the board for G2 in the next round, and that's exactly what you need coming out. The calls like that from Daiki on Team Liquid.
Yeah, now you probably have, you talked about the economy a couple of rounds ago with those ults, but now the economy dwindles down. That was an expensive op to purchase for G2, and a lot of ultimates they've used as well. So you're looking at the last few rounds here, and maybe looking pretty good for TL. As you could see the cheers and the confidence, and with the crowd behind them here at the CB LOL Arena.
Yeah, and they're feeling good too, as they should be. I mean, Bastarda looks like she's having a blast. I mean, this is just a normal day for her. No nerves are looking like they're in the server right now.
You mentioned 3 players from G2 earlier on from the roster. Des mentioned it as well. And Mimi, Petra, and Glance from winning so many events, winning Game Changers last year, but Team Liquid are no stranger to that as well with Daiki and Bastarda, and they're coming in with that same confidence, and you saw it on the walkout. They're ready to play.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why you're seeing such a close game.
If you're G2 right now as well, you've got to be kind of just catching your breath again. You know, this is kind of Petra's debut on that duelist. We saw the first time the operator coming out onto her hands. A little bit unlucky, wasn't able to warm up into that round, but this pause should allow G2 and Petra to kind of just recollect themselves coming into this one. Showstopper still on the board for Petra as well. I mean, they could have cooked up something in this round.
After a timeout, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And they're playing it close towards the A main. Maybe set up with a Paranoia if you're looking now at that minimap.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of information Mimi is able to get Petra here in this round. They haven't really, I like the adjustment. Team Liquid, they've only sent Bizarra. They've only sent the Chamber.
Ooh. Contact TPs away. Does get the dink onto Petra too, so they've now noticed that Ray is trying to get that aggressive push. A beautiful pivot to read into this round.
Exactly, and that's so much information coming through. Bizarra fully aware. That's clean.
Double swing.
That is clean.
Couldn't get the 3, but does enough. Gets the information at the same time, allowing Team Liquid to add more pressure towards the market. Bucky now with the hat coming out. Information on the last 3 players. Roxy trying to hold towards the market. Double ping coming through, and that's a beautiful smoke. Not to allow here any cross kills.
Yeah, Glance does have Paranoia. Things might get dicey here, Vans.
Oh my! Blinded gets a kill, though. It's a 1v1.
Oh!
Bastarda's too good, though. Bastarda's too good as she holds it down for Team Liquid.
That is steady. That is steady as hell, because I was getting nervous there, Vans. I was starting to get real nervous.
Yeah.
But Bastarda is here to just calm things down. Calm things down. Hey, guys, it's just an eco. Relax. Okay, I got this.
Especially when I'm a play-by-play caster, even I'm holding my breath.
But wow, what an opportunity. What a chance. I mean, this pinch coming in from Glance here, it was everything. And that's kind of been, I think, the story for G2's side. Their B defense is unstoppable.
Yes.
Ain't nobody getting through on that B. But it's definitely been the story of this A control and this A site for G2. Are they going to be able to withstand Team Liquid's pinches and hits here?
The silver lining for G2, though, is that they still have this showstopper, this time surrounded with weaponry, having a little bit more of that economy and positioning themselves where they still want to play the contact towards the A main, but really look at that focus of where they're positioned to really try to pinch in towards the mid take.
Yeah, poking and prodding. A lot of information, looking for the Cypher setups. And really just kind of trying to waste G2's time. Trade a little bit of util. And this is about the 3rd time we're seeing Team Liquid do the same play, but it's worked. A lot of pressure.
Blinded.
Oh,
what a shot. Oh, it missed.
Does have support, yeah. Looks like the flash missed. And now Team Liquid looking to fight back. Seekers, as you just got hurt here by Mimi throwing him out. But of course they hear the spike plant towards this B main.
Yeah, we'll see how this post plant goes for G2 in this retake. They've got the numbers, they've got the util.
Showstopper behind the flash. Roxy does get the first pick. Attempt for the retake.
No.
Showstopper on the right. But at least he clears out the left side. So now G2 can really push themselves in and just focus on that left side entry. It works out for these beautiful trades. And Roxy being an anchor towards that B site. Now it allows for G2 to go for the retake and close the gap. Still behind, though, by 1 round.
Yeah, power in numbers. Indeed. And things work out there. You know, we were just talking about it, Vans. Team Liquid have had so much success over towards that A site, and it seems like G2, they got all the correct eggs in their baskets towards this B. So I wouldn't be surprised if Team Liquid changed things up into this last round. But for G2, they should be able to kind of predict that.
Surprisingly enough, we've gone through 12 rounds so far from Team Liquid when that Tour de Force was always available from Bizarra, but they really don't want to try to go for the early picks. Well, as I say that, has it available this time around and trying to fight against that A main aggression.
There. Yeah, Petra in a very sweaty angle. Up top here. Oh, Bizarra's so aware. Sheesh.
And with the TP. That's a pick and information, and that's going to force Petra to instantly fall back.
Beautiful stuff, and you're really kind of seeing why Team Liquid chose to go with that chamber instead of that Cypher. We'll see how effective he's going to be on that defense, but so far on these opening picks, very successful.
With the dog that was heard by Daiki calling for the rest of the team to pivot back towards the right side of the A side control. Close player is a flash now from Mimi. Being set up here just behind the safety boxes. Satchel's coming in, hit by a Paranoia. Mimi now, unfortunately, shoots the wall, but still turns around for the pick. A second one down to Georgina, but finally Bizarra comes in with 2 of her own, 3 into the round, and Roxy is now the last player standing. Spike is still down, but still plenty of time to work with. 30 seconds left on the clock as she walks in for the first kill, but Daiki's right there for the trade, and Team Liquid take the lead in the half, 7-5.
Wow, that was, I was rooting everything I had for Mimi to be able to get that 3rd kill.
Yep.
Vans, if she got that 3rd kill, I guarantee you she would have gotten the 4th. What an attempt coming out here for G2, but what a statement half for Team Liquid. Such a strong start for the Brazilian side.
Yeah, you saw it from the playstyle too from G2. They were looking to really add that pressure against their opponents, and they were getting stopped every single time along the way, and Team Liquid were very comfortable playing the late game into the mid-round.
Very, very comfortable. I love the mid-rounding, as you say, Vans. I mean, they just had so much control, right? At any point, Daiki was sniffing around towards that mid, taking care of the Cypher trips, and at any point, it did seem like Liquid could just exec on whatever site they wanted.
And now this is the first time that we've seen Sunset for these 2 teams. Let's see what the desk has to say.
Thank you very much, Vansili and Potter. I've got Ender and Baby Bay here with me again. You guys spoke a little bit about how you wanted Sunset to be played. Are you happy with that half?
I am very happy with it. Like, both teams were fighting, and we saw some really cool ideas, especially with Team Liquid just trying to run into G2 spawn like every other round. We're going to look at map 5 because it shows off perfect map fundamentals. G2, the majority of rounds, were all inning, overloading 3 players fighting for A main control, while their double stall was over on B. But TL recognized that mid is a weakness, so they can exploit up through that, and then also see this position where the chamber is down in tiles. It's so good to leave a player there late in a round on attack. When the defenders rotate lazily early through spawn, that is free pick central. And then so many times we actually saw a member of Team Liquid take that deep CT position. After they had made that split through mid, they actually take that spawn position, because if you give that up, it's actually really hard to play the post plant on the site. When the sky you could see from G2's side, Mimi was just falling back into elbow and not even playing on A.
Yeah, it's very unique. I haven't seen many teams actually take spawn that many times. Like, usually when you're doing these splits, especially towards the B site, you're actually taking the market area. But this is something I wanted to point out. The head-to-head has been great so far. Individually, Mimi is playing like an absolute god, a freak right now. Almost winning that at the end there. Yeah. That would have been insane. But you could tell, like, very clear strategic things from both the IGLs. They have the same brain almost.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they're going to do for the second half, and send this back to your casters, Vansili and Potter.
Thank you so much to our friends on the desk, and indeed Ender brought up a great point. The mid control that was so good there by Daiki for their half on the attack, but this time it's G2's turn.
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, there's going to be a lot of stark differences, right? G2 have that Cypher, so they're going to be able to insert a different kind of player for G2's side. So I think we're going to see a rinse and repeat, at least for map control, at least for G2's side. But right now, all 5 members are very grouped, and this is looking like an A exec through and through.
The beauty of a Cypher in your composition, pretty much one watching the flank is just utility, and the rest, you run it pretty much in the sight, and a 5-player take, and that dog is going to spot one in the back. Indeed, fights it on to Daiki within the sight. It's a 1-for-1 at least, but the defense is still holding strong for Team Liquid.
Such a beautiful ping pong coming out here for Team Liquid. That timing was impeccable. Still, G2, they've got to get this spike down, but there's a lot of pressure, a lot of bodies from Team Liquid surrounding.
Counter trailblazer coming out from Daiki, though his glance is able to at least open up a little bit more of that A-side spike yet to get planted as that pressure still coming through. A beautiful shot indeed as Bizarra falls. And finally, G2 have a little bit more room to breathe and a potential opportunity to get this spike down.
I like this adjustment coming out for Team Liquid. If G2, depending on this timing, could be everything, but you can see that Mimi has an inkling.
30 seconds left.
But both members of Team Liquid, I mean, it's a fair 2v2 if they go now.
You mentioned it. They went right now, and it's beautiful for Team Liquid to start. 2 versus 2, but Daiki's low on HP. Thankfully, Glance and Sarah are also quite low. Flash, though, does not get any. Player is blinded. It's a nice ping pong, perfect trades on both ends. The 1v1 now comes into contact. Spike is still planted in favor of G2. Wall about to come, play behind it, but Sarah gets the wall bang shot and wins the round there for G2 on the pistol.
The 1v1. We're seeing a lot of Asian versus Asian violence here. That's another Viper diff coming through, and I like the mobility coming out for Sarah as well. You know, constantly throwing jiggles, constantly throwing pop shots, but what an effort coming through for Team Liquid. I mean, that all started with G2 finding the opening pick and Team Liquid being a man down throughout that whole retake. So beautiful protocols at least coming through here for Team Liquid, but a beautiful exec for G2.
That's also beautiful for Sarah. She's mentioned how nervous she was. This is her first game changer on the big stage, wins a big 1v1 against Iza. And also 3 into the round. That's a lot of confidence for her first match now at the Game Changers.
Absolutely, and those are the kinds of rounds that you just kind of shake your shoulders and warm up into it. Yeah, exactly. So for sure, Sarah's definitely feeling good after that one. And especially when you're down 5-7 going into the second half, I mean, to be the hero that your team needs absolutely will change the tides, but G2, you can see that they're being very thorough. They do not want one of those crazy shenanigan rounds with these quasi buys, but Team Liquid are just on classics right now.
Same thing as G2 did when they had to play the eco, but the difference here, not stacked, not trying to push aggressively. They're looking for the contact swings instead, as they need it towards the A main. Petra and Roxy comes right in, but there's Bastarda. Paint shells now on the ground. Counter flash coming through. G2 trying to fight back. More damage, more pop damage being done by the classics, and finally we stopped the bleeding. The 2 players fall, and the lurk was a little bit too late for Bizarra. 3 versus 1. Flat's got to go down.
Or is it? Or is it too late here, Vance? We'll see what kind of timing Bizarra gets. Ah, that Viper Q orb really delaying things. But yes, you were absolutely right. The timing was not on Team Liquid's side, but Bizarra's gonna be able to have an aim battle here. So many different angles and
super high-low.
Yeah, once again.
I'm gonna like to call those the super high lows on this map. We got a lot of those on Sunset.
All right, I'm gonna actually write that one down for my team for next practice. Let's run the super high low, guys.
Run the vans, run the vans.
Run the vans, run the vans. I love that. I love that. All right, well, a bonus coming through, rinse and repeat. I mean, both squads having that sort of dream start that you want. And we saw an extremely close bonus round in the first half. We'll see if G2 can have the same kind of success or maybe even more success coming into their bonus in this one.
That bonus, I mean, it looks definitely a lot stronger than what Team Liquid had when they were playing the first half. This time 3 Bulldogs, couple of Sheriffs, and also halfway for alt orbs. So a lot of them focusing towards this B site, and that's a beautiful entry by Mimi. Satchel's in though. Oh my! A second run right into Daiki. And that's a sky on sky diff. B side open, a plant coming down as well for Mimi.
Yeah, and Mimi, she's still got 5 bullets left in her chamber. She's only used 2, Vance.
That's true.
She's still got multiple bullets for the 3 remaining members, and Team Liquid, they want none of it.
Nope.
They want none of it. They've got to save their whatever they have left, and I love this call coming out for G2. You know, we said it in the beginning of the rounds, the stark differences between a chamber and a Cypher. G2's B defense was unstoppable. Coming through here for Team Liquid, the chamber alone on that B is very different. You don't have the trips, you don't have the camera, and you're really lacking info. One good thing for chamber is you can really take very forward fights, forward angles, things like that, but if you're just gonna get one tapped, there's no defense that you can even hear of.
When Mimi's ready for those, when you're expecting these off-angle aggressive positions by the chamber, I do agree with you. That was beautifully done, and you see the stark differences of what the IGLs are doing on this roll for Sky on the attack. Mimi was basically an entry for G2, while you saw Daiki was trying to find that information more from the utility on that mid side with the late lurks. And let's look at those shots again. I mean,
here we are.
Boom. And you saw the utility falling behind that, right? So now you see the beauty of Petra being able to satchel in. Yes, maybe we're not calling her name out a lot, but there's still a lot of utility behind G2's cooks that they've been, you know, bringing up here for this map, though. For this round, let's hold that thought. Bastarda really wants to fight back right away. but instantly G2 answers back.
So aggressive. G2 so aware though. It was a bit telegraphed, for sure, but good effort at least from Team Liquid, and Petra's not going to give up. She is chasing this kill down.
Give me the all point. Give me the all points, what she's saying, and she's one away now after that pick onto Bizarra. Surprisingly enough, the spike is going to get planted by Glance instead. And Daikie's the last player remaining, and holding back towards Boba.
Yeah.
She wants to commit to some damage.
Oh, that irks me, Benz. That irks me. When you're in a 4v1 and you've got that much time to be able to plant the spike, you definitely want to have the showstopper online. But as I say that, it don't matter. G2, calculated, baby.
Yep.
Petra's going to have that showstopper online anyways, going into round 17 here.
Looks like G2 kind of knew that Daikie was like, hey, you're on my home turf here in Brazil. I'm going to show you what I'm all about. And Petra is already ready for that showstopper, as you've mentioned, available for this round. And that's going to be crucial, because now we have the AWP already coming out from Team Liquid. And they have a great way to be explosive now against that positioning from Bizarra.
For sure, and we already saw in the first half that sort of protocol coming out for Team Liquid where they sent Bizarra in first, the chamber in first, to kind of bait that showstopper out. I would be very surprised if they don't do the same thing here on the defense. You know, that opening pick for Mimi towards that B side, you better believe Bizarra's going to be able to take more forward angles with that operator in her hands.
For sure. And with Bizarra, that sometimes plays those angles. I mean, a couple of rounds ago on that second half was placing a TP so that she could actually push more aggressively towards that B main. And I think if I remember correctly, it was towards their eco. So there's an opportunity for her to do that again if they want to have her locked down towards this B main. But their strategy is definitely going to give a lot of responsibility to Bizarra on this agent for Team Liquid.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the last round, we saw Bastarde kind of having a very fast opening towards mid on an eco round, right? And I said it was a bit telegraphed. On a round like this, it's very much a lot less telegraphed, right? So if you're Team Liquid, I mean, I would be discussing some sort of opening round to, again, do that misdirection we were talking about and send them into Bizarra's hands, send them over towards that op to be mobile and rotate. So we'll see how much aggression Team Liquid put in this A corridor and what kind of defense they have in plan. But this showstopper should allow G2 a lot of control, at least for the pace side of things in this round.
Coming back from the timeout, G2 winning every single round so far on the second half. So a very important timeout coming out from Team Liquid, and already mentioned the aggression coming forward there. And Bizarra just trying to close the gap towards that B main, having support from Daikie. But G2 are looking to push instantly towards the market. There's a trip, finding some information as G2's closing in.
Yeah, but right now, with all the angles that Bastarde has, and keeping Cypher outside of B main, Team Liquid are feeling pretty comfortable about this round still.
There's that showstopper as Bizarra's pushing up towards that B main. Sarah couldn't be there to trade up against Roxy. And unfortunately, they're in the lead for G2. They're able to get a couple of them down until Iza instantly becomes the last player remaining. Stuck towards the spawn. TL couldn't hold back the aggressive push on the split from G2 long enough here to allow that flank to happen. And on top of that, the Seekers just came out from Mimi, and they know that she's definitely flanking at this point, so she has to repivot now.
Yeah, Isa deciding, I mean, if she's able to find one pick at least, you can believe she's going to go for this. But there it is! Oh, 3 HP! Just barely limping.
Melting down to that amount. I think that's going to secure the round for G2 after all. So already seeing Isa falling back. A nice attempt, though, off the timeout to, you've mentioned, really trying to fight forward position against a showstopper. That's what you kind of want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to do for sure. And I said it, you know, Team Liquid, they were looking pretty good in that position. But that one guy dog that we saw in the very beginning of the round coming out of this B corridor, Team Liquid weren't able to take care of that trip at all. So you saw that when Bizarra came out and tried to find that duel, that trip was just, it was just the crux for Team Liquid. So in that pinch, things just fell apart. But G2, that aggression, I don't think a single player on G2 let go of the W key that entire round once that execution came through. I mean, they were just everywhere in spawn, elbow, market.
Satchely on top of market and getting a heal at the same time, not afraid to fight back against potential players rotating back from B main. So yes, it's beautiful read so far from G2, and looks much more practice on a map that they've never played before here in an official match. This is the first official match on Sunset for these two teams. And G2 are looking quite good here on the attack.
A lot of control. A late dog. Oh, but that bit, that's a beautiful satchel. That actually just saved Bastarde's life there. You saw Petra wanted it.
They wanted to make the play for Team Liquid right away, flashing out through the smoke on middle, but G2 were still ready on that. So behind that dog, it wasn't that same pressure towards the market. Late stay back, they're pushing for it, but the spike just fell.
Spike down mid. Yeah, that map positioning was everything, but as you say, the spike falling does delay things. And G2, they're doubling back around. This is exactly where both Team Liquid members are.
Walking right down, Iza with the first contact. The power numbers for G2. Bizarra's now the last player standing. Neural Theft coming out, trying to get a pick through the Cyber Cage, and that's well done by Roxy. 11 rounds now for G2 Esports.
Wow, G2, I mean, that mid crunch, that mid pressure coming out for Team Liquid, I love how decisive it was and how fast things started moving, but G2's positioning on the map was just perfect. I mean, sure, a lot of them caught that paranoia coming out from Jojina, so they were blind as hell, but because of where they were constantly able to ping pong off each other, react off each other, and it was just a crossfire that was created in the middle of the map. So good fundamentals and good protocols coming out here for G2.
The pressure is on for Team Liquid. Thankfully, they do have the economy on the ultimate side and already expending early. A Viper's Pit to control towards that A main, so very similar to what G2 was doing. Shutting down that area so they could focus more defense on this top mid. That starts off well. Beautiful shot.
Huge opening for Bizarra. That's certainly going to give Team Liquid a little bit of breathing room, and that's not something that they've had so far in this second half. You see the Viper right now, Issa, she's all alone towards this A site. And because of that, Team Liquid are being very active across mid.
Being active on mid to not allow for that pinch to happen behind for Iza so that she could focus on this A main. But as we talk about that pressure on mid for Team Liquid, looks like G2 is pivoting back here towards this B main.
Yeah, and it does seem like Team Liquid are going to go for a bit of a retakey type scenario. Chamber looks like she wants to just take a shot, TP back away. But not a lot of good utility for the retake besides that showstopper.
You mentioned it, Christine. Let's push G2 towards the up of Bizarra. Beautiful flash coming out though. Daiki falls, and that leaves now Bizarra alone towards this B side for a bit. There's a showstopper though coming out right within the cage, right at the feet of Sarah as well. Falls back now towards Boba. The camera comes up, and finally Jojina. They delayed enough time here to allow Team Liquid to retake towards the side and hold it through. There's only 13 seconds left on the clock. Mimi's trying to fight back, but the spike is down towards the B main. Misses the shot against Iza as Roxy falls. And also Iza gets the second one. And Team Liquid finally answer back on the second half.
And what an answer that was. I gotta say, that was an answer off the back of G2 kind of fumbling a little bit. I gotta say, it seemed like G2 had control of the site for a long time. I don't know how Bizarra stayed alive for as long as she did in the site, but she was all alone. The only member of Team Liquid in that site with all G2 members surrounding, but it just took too long to wipe her out and get the spike down. So certainly making that post plant even more difficult than it needed to be if you're G2.
I want the fans to continue to tell me, Vans, come to Brazil, because they're having a blast in there and lucky to be a part of this. But let's focus back in round number 20. Early dog coming out from Mimi. Potential conditioning for this mid to B that they were doing a couple of rounds ago. But it's quiet for a bit. There's a counter dot to get information on the end of Team Liquid as Roxy gets spotted there on that lurk.
Yeah, definitely a different pace for both squads coming into this attack side. Very often we saw Daiki on the sky for Team Liquid, alone, solo. Mimi very often has a pack and the squad with her. You can see that G2, they've inserted Petra towards this mid, and they're waiting and hoping that Team Liquid re-aggress and re-clear mid so that their Rays can just have a blast and have a field day in middle.
It's not happening yet. Team Liquid very happy to play the contact instead, starting with Bizarra behind the Viper one. Look at that, 4 players walking through this wall. Counter paranoia, that's very nice actually to slow that 4-player lurk, that 4-player push that was coming out from G2.
Yeah, Bizarra heard so much noise, and Petra being inserted so early on finds an opening.
No choice but to play the retake for Team Liquid. 1 player stuck in the back, and that's Daiki. Counter flash. Paint shells to push her away. Mitra, though, continues with 2 kills of her own. Only 2 players left for Team Liquid this time around as the counter comes in. Nice collat. Oh no, as she was looking to pick up a weapon, gets instantly denied by Glance. And Bizarra has to play a 2v1 with the op. Glance is the one that's going to shut her down. Match point for G2.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts my soul inside, Vans. I don't know how many bullets she had left, but I don't know if that's a ranked habit or if that's just a habit, but certainly in moments like this, yeah, that sucks. That definitely sucks. Not a chance to even shoot your bullet back, but unlucky if you're Team Liquid, and a lot of moving pieces in that round as well, right, Vans? I mean, you saw Georgina immediately popping that Omen ult, placing herself in towards that B main to really refortify the defenses towards that B site, help her chamber out. But like I said, when that execute is on, G2, they're not letting go of W. They're not letting go of W, and they are decisive. So as a defender, if you're not able to find the info to be able to pre-rotate earlier on, you're always kind of playing catch-up in the rounds.
Now the final timeout for Team Liquid, much needed this time around. I mean, it is map point for G2. What could be going through now, the conversations? How do you adapt now to that whole W from G2, as you've just mentioned, Potter? And I mean, you mentioned maybe the chamber. There was that round where, hey, let's push the attack towards the chamber. There are 2 players there, but the utility for G2 just continues to be way too good on the support.
Yeah, Team Liquid, we'll see what they do. I think they've got to reinforce this Cypher defense. You know, I mean, rather the chamber defense.
Yeah.
The chamber on the attack was great with the opening picks, but we all already know this. Cypher defenses are definitely better than chamber. So I think as a squad for Team Liquid, they got to kind of come together and set up their chamber to find those opening picks, set up their chamber for that map control.
Looks like to be a support from a chamber with an Omen, at least towards this B main. Tilda False being pulled out early as Bizarra is walking down, and at least they've taken control of that, but that wall is so annoying to deal it once again. G2 is just walking behind it. Deja vu. This time, though, no paranoia to counteract.
I like that better. Now Bizarra's going to be able to have an opportunity, but she misses.
And that will force G2 to hold that W. Smoke towards the back. The execution's coming in for G2 within this A site. But the paranoia misses Petro, but at least catches the opponent left. And Bizarra plays behind the boxes to get a second within the round. Low on HP, but still has support. Finally falls from Roxy. Wow. And there's the rest of the cavalry for Team Liquid as they fight back this round.
Oh, and this is, you know, this is one of those rounds where you can clearly see a fade would come in real clutch there, right? Because as soon as Bizarra TP'd away, she was backside the whole time, but Petra was looking everywhere for her. Knew that there was a defender in the site, couldn't find her. And that's definitely where you feel like you need one of those hit scan, or rather scanning initiators, for sure. But beautiful hold for Team Liquid, and you know, they stop the bleeding right when they need to.
And G2 is still comfortable this round over. A lineup just to get the smoke up on middle. So potentially game plan now for G2 on the attack, defaulting a little bit more towards mid.
Oh, a lot of aggression for Team Liquid.
Guardian close range, Glance answers back, but there's Bastarda. Early 4 versus 2, make that even. 4 versus 1. Thankfully, Sarah has the spike delivered at her feet. And she's gonna potentially try to clutch this, if not, hold her weapon for a whole minute.
Yeah, but she's got a lot of things to play around with. And as a Viper with the ultimate, and a minute left on the clock, this is definitely the moments you live for if you're Viper. So I hope Sarah tries to make some sort of play here. Enough money in the bank, so I think she will feel pretty comfortable going for a play like this. But man, so many angles. Issa, ratty corner.
Not checked. Beautiful shot. Free upgrade as well. 2 more rounds to bring this into overtime as Team Liquid are not afraid to fight back despite having the backs against the wall. A beautiful flash for a double swing out on middle. And a beautiful pinch as well.
Beautiful stuff. And, you know, I love the confidence if you're Team Liquid. I mean, we think about 4 rounds ago when they attempted this mid-pinch, this mid-hit, they fell flat. They fell completely flat and couldn't find a single pick. So to bust it out in round 23 on map points as Team Liquid, I love that.
That also removes the confidence for G2 this round over. Their money not much to work with. The best weapons of Vandal and the Guardian in the hands of Petra and Mimi respectively as they look for that pressure early towards the B main, but an early pivot towards A. But look at the players there.
Yeah, and this is everything for Team Liquid's defense. You know, we talked about...
Bastarda's there, Satchel's away. It was dicey for a bit, but they're still chasing her down. It's a 1-for-1.
Exactly right. 3v3 now.
That's information there on where Bizarra's at. Still committed for the B side hit, A side hit.
Yeah, this should speed things up for G2. Viper ult's gonna come out to play.
Spike planted.
This retake is gonna be so difficult if you're G2. Rather Team Liquid.
At least Team Liquid, they had the flash to work with from Daiki, so that could find a little bit of information in a flood retake, but you've mentioned here, also difficult. It's an operator trying to retake with.
Yeah, they have to buy time. They've got to buy time, and they've got to be able to kind of constrict and make some sort of pinch happen. You can see they're trying just that.
Camera just spotted 2 players as Roxy had that up. Roxy hiding inside that pit. Met up with Blanche, working to get on this extremity. Beautiful flash, though, for 2 insta-kills. Roxy looking to clutch it. Not going to happen. Bizarra with the headhunter. And putting it a 1 round away of pushing the first map of the series of the VCT Game Changers to overtime.
That was never supposed to happen, fans. That was never supposed to happen. And you know, it was at the tip of my tongue. I was going to say the only thing going against G2 was the fact that all 3 players were playing inside the Viper's pit in the post-play. They're just 2 grouped together. And that's exactly what ends up losing them this round. Insane stuff for Team Liquid, and you saw they were all choked up in CT spawn. There was no way they were going to win the round if they all stuck together there. So 2 players pivot and go towards that highway and create that pinch, and that's exactly what gets them the W on the board.
And you mentioned buying time for G2, not only with the camera, the 3 players inside the pit and a snake bite, but because of the timing that came out from Team Liquid to push back in, that broke all of it after all. So that calls out a timeout, this time for G2 on their attack. 1 round separating these 2 teams. As if they're going to push us to a break if G2 wins this, or if Team Liquid, with the crowd behind them, could actually bring this into the extra innings.
Yeah, serious faces for G2. Certainly for the players, I mean, they felt like they had it in the bag. I think at one point the scoreline was 12-8, 12-7, something like this. So certainly some shocking rounds here in the last few. See what kind of opening G2 starts with here. Mimi, the last time around when these Sky Ultimate was on board, that was the W key round. That was that B split W key round where G2 looked so dominant. So we'll see what G2 busts out for the last round of this regulation.
You have to be wary of Bastarda's showstopper too. Potential trap play or even on a retake. So despite holding the W on the Seekers, you're okay if you're Team Liquid to give up that site because you have a beautiful piece of utility for the retake.
Very early dog and a lot of information for both squads. Kind of just exchanging 1 for 1 here.
And staying towards spawn for G2. This is not something that we've really seen for G2 this half.
Yeah, I think they're really worried about any sort of a trap setup that Bastarda, as you mentioned, that showstopper has. So a little bit of misdirection, but this is it. They're all grouping, and this B hit is on the way.
With the Seekers towards the air, couldn't hit the shot. Now also hit by the Seekers. Roxy gets the first blood. Headhunter out from Bizarra, now holding inside the smoke, trying to hold it back. There's that showstopper being heard. Wow. Beautiful push up. Bizarra gets another kill in to help Team Liquid retake the site. A 3 versus 3 spike not yet planted. Showstopper lands onto Petra as Mimi trades it right back onto Bizarra. 2 versus 2 now as the paint shells is beautiful on glance. Only 1 player left to push us into overtime, and it's Mimi, the new acquainted IGL now for G2, has to pull up the game sense and win this 2 versus 1. Bastarda and Georgina working together as Mimi is still clearing out towards the site. 24 seconds left on the clock, but the spike is out of her reach. She's just looking for that push forward to try to catch her opponents off guard, but they can play the time for Team Liquid. They're so comfortable here. Now you have to make noise to hear her within the site.
She will be able to play around. She's just going to full stick it. Oh, and she catches the paranoia. That just makes Bastarda go in. And that's it. I cannot believe Team Liquid are actually able to hold and withstand this round hit coming out for G2. Everything was going their way within the rounds. I mean, they were pushing Team Liquid off the site, but again, it's the second time now that we've seen G2 go towards that B site, and after the hit happens, the spike never gets planted. So good defense is coming through here for Team Liquid to just delay that spike from going down. You can see the paint shells just taking out Glance there in the corner. But man, what a hold.
What a hold. And what gameplay
well.
exactly for Team Liquid. They're definitely coming back in this series with a chip on their shoulders. When you're looking back at the Game Changers finals in Berlin, they lost against G2 in the upper bracket finals. And this time, with that chip on their shoulders, even backs against the wall, you mentioned 12-8, 12-7, something like that, and they still fought it back. Bringing this into overtime, you could definitely tell that the confidence is going to be more into TL's camp.
Absolutely confident, feeling good going into this OT here. But G2 as well, I mean, that call in that last round was a beautiful one. Don't know if it was from Carcass or from Mimi, but either way, G2 should be feeling pretty good going back onto their defenses. Roxy has been a rock as an anchor towards this B site, and Petra has been warming up into this map towards this A site. So I think if you're G2, you should at least feel okay going into this OT.
Thankfully, yes, silver lining is that you are starting things off in a defensive half, and you had some pretty decent results. And as that three-player pushes forward for G2, for Team Liquid, it's a default hold still back towards the spawn, and hearing that utility, looking to pivot back and potentially go for an answer back into that A aggression.
And you can see Daiki's just kind of spamming the walls, looking everywhere for those Cypher trips. And this time around, Team Liquid aren't leaving Daiki. Petra goes 1 for 1.
And Glance falls back. Should actually throw a couple of smokes down to delay a little bit more, allowing the rotate to happen. Daiki out with the Trailblazer, trying to find information, instantly finds Mimi right within the site up towards A. So they know that 2 players are actually currently playing here towards this A site. And TL's just going to hold it for a bit, taking orb control as Daiki's 1 away from the Seekers.
Yeah, and that's a good shout. You can see Daiki immediately pivoting and going back towards that B. She wants to collect that last orb, pop her Seekers, and give her team the best chance going into this round. And I like the separation. 3 members from Team Liquid, they want to hit it from market as those Seekers come out B main.
Actually, they're even going to hit it from spawn. But there's 1 player walking through that smoke. There's the Seekers coming out. Is it too little to get information? Yes, it is. Because Roxy's at the staircase. There's that flank behind. And Daiki's now solo. They know exactly where she's at because she's through those Seekers. And there's 16 seconds left on the clock. And there's another super high-low. Not good enough here for G2 to regain the lead in the series.
Busting out the Vans Crossfire and making it look good.
Switching
It's
sides.
G2, certainly.
Match
in
point.
that high-low. But man, what a round. And I love that play coming out here for Team Liquid. But I mean, it's as simple as the power of Cypher.
Yep.
The power of Cypher coming through so strong for G2. But the play itself, the strategy for Team Liquid was beautiful.
Game Face is on there for Petra as she's hyping up her teammates. Again, Team Liquid, another opportunity to bring this into a second overtime as they've shown towards the later half here of the second half that they've had a pretty good defense. They want to try to apply that once again.
Yeah, for G2's side, very different than that of Team Liquid's. Again, Mimi very grouped with her players. We saw oftentimes Petra was getting inserted towards that mid and Sarah just controlling this A side.
Toxins going up.
But this time, no one's getting inserted. G2, they're just waiting and biding their time. It's that same B hit here, Vans. They all 5 are grouping up.
The difficult part now for Team Liquid, though, is most of the resources are towards that A side. The Dogs try and clear it up. They get that information. At least now we have that pivot. But is that a timing that's a little too late as G2's now moving in?
Beautiful. Paranoia keeps the chamber completely out of the round, out of the fight. And that's as clean as ever. This is what G2 have wanted this on the attacking half, is just to pressure and just bully this chamber alone. And this time, this should be an easy post plant for G2.
Should it be?
It should be. Come on now, Vans.
Daiki, first one at the point. Right within the smoke. 1 flash available. And She's going to use it right away. Looking towards the back of the site to allow Bastard to move through, but that's Mimi with the off angle to drop both players. And with the Seekers, of course, you know where that's going. Right into the market, going head-to-head against Daiki. Second flash to peek out, nobody's peeking through, and there's a late peek out from Glance. But that's still a good information now for G2 as they close the gap. They just wait for their angles, and we close up the first map with G2 winning 14-12 in the overtime of Sunset.
That is some beautiful calling coming out here from G2. Beautiful stuff for Mimi to stay strong and stay confident on that B hit. It's got to be said, I mean, that chamber, that difference on the defense side, the G2 side, they felt it.
Well, we're going to step away, but up next, Ginsu and the analyst desk will break down map number 1.